All right, good morning. Hello, this is our BGF podcast called The Bright Side. I am Jessica Waite, president of Very Good Food. So our podcast, Growing a Food Movement, has been a forum for discussion about building a more resilient local food system. Since the COVID pandemic has emphasized the need for this resilience and has challenged many of us with the opportunity to create new systems and strategies. We have also seen an outpouring of support for our local businesses and our local heroes. This podcast Zoom series, The Bright Side, will highlight stories of growth and innovation as we discuss how we use these lessons to create momentum towards a healthier future. So today we have Javier, who is the executive director of Coastal Roots Farms in Encinitas. Hello and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so cheesy on this thing. So Javier, I had the incredible opportunity to work together on a joint fundraiser and education kind of awareness builder last fall at Coastal Roots, and in concert with Very Good Food. And it was such an incredible experience. And one of the things that really struck me about you is just your optimism and your energy and how everyone on your team seems to be inspired by your leadership. And I know that this past couple of months was a time where, leaders kind of, we got shaken a little bit. And, when we had to make some tough decisions and we had to kind of, pivot a little bit. But, pre-pandemic, would you mind filling our audience in? What were you focused on and what were the main kind of areas of focus for Coastal Roots?
Yeah, so, the farm, we say our mission statement, cultivating healthy, connected communities through food justice, sustainable agriculture, and also ancient Jewish wisdom and traditions. But our focus, we really talk about nourishing community, and we do that in a couple different ways. So we nourish community through our organic food distribution program, where we're growing on-site in Encinitas 40,000 pounds of produce, fresh, organic, nutrient-dense produce, which reaches about 25,000 people in a year. And that program, we're practicing regenerative organic farming as well. We have an agroforestry food forest system, as well as our regular veg fields. We have a pastured chicken operation in terms of like eggs. So all that food is either made to the public through our Pay What You Can farm stand, open Thursdays and Sundays, or the direct donations that we put out in the community. So that's all around the organic food distribution program. And then for our education, we have all sorts of programming. So we have, schools and groups coming out from all over the place. We have programs pre-K to 12th grade, farm tours, volunteer opportunities to come and learn on the farm. We had actually just kicked up a high school college internship opportunity and program. And so, that was definitely a challenge by what's going on right now. And of course, other types of community programs and events. So all that we talk about nourishing community, we nourish people through food, we nourish people by bringing them together through education and hands-on learning. And that's pretty much our program focus, which touches a lot of different areas and a lot of different sectors of the population.
It's so incredible, and it's awesome to have you guys right here in Encinitas. It's so close, and I feel like there's so many diverse audiences that kind of come together. You can reach all of North County and East County and South County, and right there, and where you are, it's such a great place to be located. And a lot of people don't even realize that you have this incredibly, beautiful, but also really impactful program that is right there on the coast. And so, basically what you were doing when the pandemic hit, how did you have to change your operations? You mentioned that the internship program that you were launching definitely took a hit, but what else did that change look like when things started to shut down, when schools started to shut down, and society started to kind of contract a little bit?
Right. So, if we could flash back to that first boom, we went into quarantine.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like, this is happening. Yes, this is real. We had a conversation with our senior leadership within the organization, and we're like, this is happening. And then the formal announcement came out. We actually only closed our farm stand, our pay what you can farm stand, for one day. And then we pivoted and came up with a whole new system to welcome people onto the farm, to have access to the food at our pay what you can, which again, it's pay what you can up to $30, which is essentially like a CSA box of produce. On Sundays, we also have eggs. And so there is just high demand. So, you know, we created a system where people, and this system is pretty much still in place right now, although, you know, it's not as feverish as it was before. But we had, you know, cars lining up in a parking lot. People would stay in their cars. Then they would be kind of brought up to, or we had a walk-up line. They'd be brought up to our regular kind of parking area for the farm stand. They'd have like a kind of a sushi menu type thing where they check off what they would like. They would go up, turn that over. We would pre-bag it for them. So they would pick what they needed, what they wanted from our menu. We would bag it for them. Then we'd go over to the checkout, which again, it's a pay what you can model there. And then we would wipe everything down. So keeping everything super sanitized, keeping distance. And we had a lot of people in the community, especially some of the elderly seniors in our community, who were saying that they felt absolutely safe and really comfortable coming to the farm stand. But to make all this possible required a lot more staff. And, you know, we just lost at that moment when everybody got quarantined. We had to basically stop our volunteer program. And so, so that just left us kind of with this gap. Now we're kind of needing more people. We couldn't have volunteers necessarily at that time. And we were just looking out to keep everybody safe and healthy. So what we did is, since our programs on the flip side, since our programs essentially immediately kind of shut down for a moment, we actually folded all of our education team and administration and myself, everyone, all hands on deck. And we were there to support our mission. So everybody rallied around making sure that the farm stand could deliver. And then our offsite donations, which are free. So those are all going to, you know, supporting Vista Clinic, military and veteran families, you know, Cambria Home for Low-Income Seniors, a number of the food pantries, Holocaust survivors. So we have like all these distributions set up, and we needed to make sure that that was all going. So I think the biggest shift that happened there was kind of this combo between our programs kind of needing to kind of ramp down, and then farm stand and additional staffing needed to make that work, ramping up. So we were able to kind of shift people right over to make that happen. And we were able to use those internal resources. But we were seeing 2 to 3 times the number of people at the farm stand. I mean, it was at times, you know, at the time of opening, you know, we could easily have like, at one point we had like, within the first 10 minutes, probably like 40, 50 people, 60 people, like between the walk up and the parking lot, just like boom, like the second we opened, and people were like lined up. And that wasn't the other people that were going to be coming. So, yeah, that's kind of instant. And then since then, what we did is, once we could actually like kind of get our sea legs, so to speak, we were able to start to ramp up programming kind of right away on a virtual basis. So we started doing experiences on the farm using Facebook Live. Like so many people, we had to like switch to the you know, social media and a virtual farm experience. So we started running programs every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and those were all Facebook Lives. Then we also started to talk to some of the schools, and they said, well, you know, we really need, we still need some programming to facilitate, because our classes are still meeting virtually. Could you come up with some online programming? So then we developed a whole online curriculum using the farm with our educators to meet that need with teachers in the community. And so I think that's something that's going to be a reality for us, and I think for a lot of organizations in this coming year. As I know, like with one school district we're partnering with in North County, they've said for this next school year, they're not doing any field trips. So if you can imagine, for a lot of nonprofits and organizations that are working with those kind of hands-on experiences, if you're having schools, and this could easily be what's going to happen throughout San Diego County, as it's, I think, probably going to happen largely in California in the United States. So what does that mean for kids and families from the experiential side? Like, how can we provide the learning opportunities? And so much of that's going to be online, or in very small numbers, depending on how things open up. The last thing I was going to mention, that programmatically there was a pivot, and I think kind of a win and something exciting, is that so much of what I think children and families are needing right now around health and wellness is to get outside. And since the farm is a completely outdoor experience, I think that is a benefit for us and what families were looking for. And so we actually put together, this would have been our second year of having our farm camp, which is our young farmers in training. And so we put together our farm camp like a couple of the other camps that we saw planning up, like the JCC and YMCA. We actually came up with whole new safety protocols. We reduced the number of campers we were going to have in half, keeping groups kind of separated, and that sort of thing. So we were prepared to run camps. We set up registration, and in 2 days, we filled up 6 weeks of camp in less than 48 hours, which I think just speaks to the need in the community, you know? And we were kind of hedging our bets a little bit because, you know, it was only like 2 days ago that they officially announced camps can open. So
awesome.
we were prepared to refund everybody if we needed to. We let them know, hey, we'll refund you. If something happens, we'll refund you. And we have, again, all these safety protocols, but it's kind of cool that, you know, this summer in July and August, we're going to be able to offer farm camp in its ages 4 to 11. And so that's pretty good.
That's so exciting. I'm sitting here listening to everything you're saying, and you're hitting like every point on like the things that I've been thinking about and bubbling on, is, you know, from the disparity and the lack of equal access to incredibly healthy food, which you guys are helping to kind of bridge that with your pay as you can farm stand. I mean, that's always been something that I've been so impressed by with Coastal Roots is, you know, we have this conversation that's really alive and, you know, focused right now on institutional racism in our food system and this inability for people to access really healthy food. And then you look at this pandemic and, you know, there was such a strong focus on sterilizing everything and plasticizing everything, if that's a word, but really I feel like there was a lack of focus on getting the healthy nutrients that we need in our diet to support healthy communities. And when we look at why certain, you know, groups of our population were more detrimentally impacted, that a lot could have to do with the food system and, you know, unequal access to healthy food. So really what you guys are doing is, I mean, saving the world. I think it's incredible. You're providing that happy, healthy, you know, that healthy food, and your team is doing that. And then also just this idea that my husband, David, who's also kind of a food activist or advocate, has been, you know, mentioning a lot, is that in this process, it hasn't been us supporting our local farmers. You know, we always talk about, oh, it's important to support your local farmers. Now, our local farmers have been supporting us and have been helping us get through this. And, you know, across the county, farm stands have been the hot spot. You know, it's where the lines are forming.
Totally.
And from Luke from Cyclops, I've heard it from Evan from the Ecology Center, and I'm hearing this from you guys. And so in time of crisis, you guys were there. You know, your team was there to make sure everybody had that healthy and nutritious food that they really needed. And, you know, and I think really the question is, and this is the big question of, you know, of COVID or of all of this, you know, as far as I see, is how do we keep this going? How do we make sure that this emphasis on local and healthy food, you know, kind of remains at the forefront of everyone's mind? And the momentum that you've created with that farm stand, you know, before and now, that doesn't go away. And so, you know, we can circle back to that. There was one more thing that I was thinking about that I'm so excited about with what you guys are doing and this kind of going live. Now, I know it sounds sad that people are not taking field trips, that the students are not taking field trips, but you have to think that there might be, again, a disparity in which students are having access to go tour these farms. And now by bringing in technology and broadcasting these experiences, and what your team is doing, you might have more access. There might be programs, or it might be schools that wouldn't normally get to experience your farm, who are now going to have that opportunity. So that's really cool.
I love that you say that, because one of the things that we've seen is, we had a program the other day that would have probably typically been something on the farm, kind of a seasonal thing, and we probably maybe on site, maybe we'd have like 100 people there or something. We had like 2,000 people participating online, right? So and people from all over, like all over the United States. And so it is something, in terms of creating open source resources for education, and knowing that the World Wide Web is the World Wide Web, meaning that not just like locally, regionally, statewide, nationally, internationally, anybody can go online and access that information, which is kind of mind-blowing if you think about it. So, I absolutely agree. And it is, one of the things that we've thought about is, what we're actually planning to do in this time is saying, okay, even like for our Wi-Fi reception on the farm, we're going to like make some investments to expand, to make sure that we have really strong connectivity, so we can take people deep into the food forest, into our silvopastures, out exactly where the chickens are grazing, take them anywhere on the farm and not have to worry about the like the Wi-Fi connectivity. I think we've done pretty good, but it can be spotty. We actually did a virtual farm tour for the community and our supporters, and it was open to anyone that we were promoting it widely. And we actually had our farmers and our team stationed different places around the farm. And so we were kind of taking them through this experience, talking about this, importance of soil, talking about our compost, talking about, how we're pasture raising chickens as part of regenerative farming. And it was pretty darn cool. It was like an experience that, you've been out touring the farm, and it's like, it could be like a one-on-one experience or like a group, but now we were like taking hundreds of people through the farm. And I think that is something that we're going to continue long past COVID and the pandemic, is to like this virtual engagement. I think that's been an opportunity to innovate for a lot of people, and I think it's something that we're going to continue. In terms of what's going to happen with the food system, after, I think people are really thinking about, farming and gardening at home, the importance of shopping local. And I just got a quick list here of benefits that I would say for shopping local, and I think for supporting these community farms. So, community can, when you shop local, communities can control what their food priorities are and who pays for the hidden costs of food. You're reducing the carbon footprint. You're growing food closer to home to have fresher food and more variety. You're supporting local workers. You're getting involved with your community. And you're also limiting the use of package and storage materials. So, I mean, these are just some of the quick things in terms of shopping local. I mean, it has a much bigger ramification than, it's supporting the environment, it's supporting the local economy, it's supporting what goes into the landfill, or not, I should say, going into the landfill. And then also in terms of, providing a, living wage and funds to our local community. I think one of the things is people not really understanding the true cost of food. So, because we want strawberries 12 months of the year, perfect, when we want them, how we want them, that creates a lot of challenge. So if you think about just the carbon footprint of buying local, it's literally at the Coastal Roots farm, it's coming out of the ground, it's getting cleaned in our post-harvest area, and then it's going another, 100 feet over to the farm stand. Your food is actually only moved so far before you come and purchase it and buy it. That's pretty mind-blowing. If people, you know, if you see those infographics and you see food harvested, and then it's like getting put on a truck, and then it's taken to here, and then it's flown there, and then it's put on another truck, and then it's shipped over there. I mean, a lot of food is, a lot of food is traveled, I think, between 1,500 to 2,000 miles before it's consumed. That's like, you know, crazy.
It's
To think that
so
we're,
sad. It's sad, and it's also like, it's like you almost just wish everybody can know that. And I guess that's the point of all of this. But like, I think it's the travel, it's the packaging, and then it's also the taste. And I was going to say nutrients, because that's really what we're focused on at the end of the day, right? Is how nutritious that food is. But that goes hand in hand with taste, and for good reason. Our bodies want the things that are best for us. But with the regenerative practices, I mean, you're also really, really increasing the health of the soil, which leads to more nutritious food. And that, I think, that's something that people always seem a little surprised about when I start to talk about, like, why the food that you're growing is going to be more nutritious than something that has been put on a boat and a ship and a plane, and has had this really long life before it hits our plate. Can you speak to that at all as part of your mission?
Yeah, absolutely. We have something here. We're actually working on some new signage that's going to go on the farm, right? It's going to be talking about a lot of the things that we're talking about here today. So I know, Jessica, you're going to be super excited about this.
Of course I am.
So it's crazy. So coming off of that, so half of the world's topsoil has been lost in the last 50 years, 150 years, half of the world's topsoil. In the U.S. alone, soil cropland is eroding 10 times faster than it can be replenished. The United Nations predicts land and soil degradation will reduce food production in the next 25 years by 12%, likely leading to a 30% rise in food prices. So as we're destroying the soil, it creates needing more inputs in terms of fertilizers, pesticides, and generating new seed and new resources to grow food. So not only are we hurting the soil, which is it's really hurting our ability to grow food, right? And not just now, but like into the future. So it's one of those things that's like, it can be turned back, but just like anything else that we've seen in terms of the environment, the longer that you take and the longer that you don't make that switch, the ramifications kind of get exponential. And so, at the farm, I think one of the things that we kind of share with people, and actually, this is the other thing I think you're going to be excited about. We're actually going to be producing like a video just about our regenerative sustainable farming practices.
Awesome.
It's just going to talk about that.
Awesome.
Because to bring it home, because right now the thing is that people don't realize, not only are they, when they're supporting their local farms that are practicing organic, more sustainable methods of farming, you're supporting that economy, you're supporting the farmer, but you're really supporting the environment, right? You're supporting healthy soil. You're supporting the people who are like, really, they're environmentalists. You're thinking about, people think about farming and food, but they're environmentalists. And so to really invest and know that people are supporting that long-term benefit, and hopefully that they're going to take these benefits, and we can do more things to educate people about, again, harmful pesticides and fertilizers, that not only ultimately the food is not the best in terms of your health and wellness, but for anybody who's eaten that really fresh, high quality, nutrient dense produce, it's the best tasting food there is, right?
It's so damn good. It's like you can taste the nutrients. I always judge, I know this is kind of, I don't know if this is good to admit, but whenever I go to a new restaurant, I judge them by their produce, oftentimes the tomatoes, but I don't know what you can taste the produce, and you can taste whether or not it came from a truck and was carted across the country, or if they're supporting local farms. And I really, that's a big deciding factor on whether I'll go back to a restaurant is, how their produce tasted, because it tells you a lot about the organization itself and what their values are. And And I just think that, we talk about all these different benefits from a health perspective, whether or not we're doing it for our health or the environment or, any other economic or political kind of indicator. I think altogether the holistic view that doing what you're doing, supporting what you're doing is the best possible thing we can do. And making that decision is not hard. And I think sometimes we talk a lot, like in my little circle, of like eco guilt, this feeling that we always feel like maybe we're not making the best possible decisions, or this feeling that there's always kind of a trade-off. When you support a local farm like Coastal Roots, there is no trade-off. Like, you're just doing this really great thing. Like, my money is going in a great place. It's supporting good people, a fair living wage, and a regenerative set of practices that are going to benefit the environment and my body. So it's just like, holistically, it's just a really great overall thing to do. And it's easy because you're right there and your farm stand.
People can come. Thursday, Thursday 12 to 3, Sunday 10 to 3. On Sunday we have eggs. Our chickens are the happiest chickens.
I have met your chickens and I love them. I love your chickens.
Actually, we're getting a new flock as well, so that's pretty cool.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing that I didn't wanted to mention before in terms of what we do is just specific to the farm, is kind of a fun, cool example of what we're doing is, you've seen it yourself there, where we have arborists bringing material to the farm that would otherwise be going to the landfill. We have Go Green, which is their kind of adjacent on property, which is organic hydroponic lettuce producer.
Awesome.
And we take all their lettuce waste. Doesn't leave the property. It's just moved right up to our compost area. Local arborists, and then also horse manure. And we put that together and to make our own soil. So not only are we creating our own soil, but we're also diverting waste from the landfill. So since our inception in 2014, we've diverted about 4 million pounds of waste from the landfill that we've used to build up the soil at the farm. And then as we move the chickens around the property, we're cover cropping in those silvopasture and those alleyways between the rows of trees and on the farm. And then we're cover cropping, pulling nitrogen and nutrients into the soil. And then we're running the chickens through there. And then they're providing fertility, also pest management, because they're eating the bugs. And now we're using less chicken feed, organic chicken feed, because they're eating more bugs and scavenging and so on. So that's all part of like building up that healthy soil, which requires, in terms of pesticides and fertilizers, everything we do is natural, certified organic, and minimum inputs and healthy soil, and letting the land rest. And that produces the amazing tasting, beautiful produce.
Absolutely. It's so incredible. And I encourage anyone who has not had the opportunity to visit your farm to get out there, because it's stunning. It's such an incredible space, and it's just tucked back there on, is it Vulcan, or what road is that?
It's off Saxony. It's between, it's right off Saxony, 441 Saxony Road. It's interesting that when the pandemic first happened and people were quarantined and like literally not leaving their house at all, unless to go out to shop and that sort of thing. We had people that were saying that like, we like coming to the farm, even though they were like in their cars kind of lined up, because they can look over the farm. They were outdoors. Actually, from there, we're called Coastal Roots Farm because you can even see out towards the ocean. And it was a little bit of a refuge, I think, for people who are just wanting to get out and feel more connected in community. So not only were they shopping and getting food, but they felt like, wow, I'm in this natural environment. And for those that were able to pay and willing to pay for that produce, they knew that they were also supporting our mission and our impact in the community. So I think, when you're talking about that kind of feeling good about being out there supporting, we had a lot of people, we had people who were like absolutely, 70% of the people coming to the farm stand were saying that they had negative financial impacts, losing their jobs, really, really hard stories, and we've documented a lot of that, and some of those testimonials are on our website. But there was also a lot, people who were coming and they're like, you want to know what? We're here. We could go shop anywhere, but we're here because we want to support our local food system. And they literally say that. And they say, we see what you're doing in the community and we want to support what you're doing in the community. So we're going to shop here. And that really meant a lot to us, especially when we were working so hard during such a challenging time. And I must say that our farmers and our team were like so inspired and so thankful, and really felt blessed to be able to be working at a time when people were kind of forced to stop working, to be able to be working and considered part of the critical sector, to be helping people during that time. So I think we feel very blessed to be able to do that kind of work.
That's incredible. And, it's incredible that the community was coming out and supporting, and then also what they get back from that experience, not only the good feeling and not only the benefit of the healthy, delicious food, but also, like you said, visiting the farm and the effect that being in nature and, experiencing a farm and experiencing how it really works, that is really good for us spiritually and emotionally too. I know I have a little urban farm behind one of my restaurants, and when I need a moment, I go sit out there and everything becomes clear and makes sense again. And connecting with nature is just really good for us. So in addition to that, healthy, nutritious food, you were offering people this opportunity to step out from all of the things that were big and scary and reconnect with nature and feel a little bit of centeredness. And that's a huge part of, I think, the feeling I get when I go to your farm. It's fun. It's like you become a kid again, I love that. So I'm sure that was a huge benefit too.
Well, you'll be happy in terms of being a kid again. We got some funding through SDG Environmental Champion and some other funding. And we're actually redoing that area where the labyrinth is. And we're creating a new nature play open space and adding a whole new area of raised bed gardens that'll be part of our education and programs. And this whole kind of learning space is part of our education farm and gardens. But then behind that is going to be a pretty good sized nature play space. So it's going to be all outdoor learning. So when you said to be a kid on the farm, Jessica, I can picture you climbing all over this.
Well, thank you, because you know me well at this point. Yeah. I was like, do big kids count? I love it. No, it's so great because no matter
there's going to be a tree house.
So much to learn. Oh gosh, a tree house. Okay. I might just be moving in. So no, it is. And it's, that we say childlike, but that enthusiasm that you can get when you go out and continue to learn and engage and be inspired, like that can happen at any age. And it's so exciting to find grown adults who are just starting to dip back into what it feels like to have these new experiences and to touch the soil and to taste these beautiful, plants and everything that you're growing. So I'm just so grateful that you guys are providing that opportunity for our community. So, I like to wrap these up with, okay, so what was your bright side inside? Again, me being corny and, sticking to the script, but if there was one particular thing that you have covered a bunch, and your entire conversation is kind of a bright side insight, but, what is the best version of a post-COVID future? What is the one thing you think people should really take from this experience, or you hope that they do?
I think one of the things that just stands out to me is when everything kind of slowed down, and how both the air, the ocean, the environment, things were starting to kind of like move backwards in a good way, right? Mm-hmm. Like we started to see all these environmental improvements. And like you were saying about slowing down, figuring out where they can get local produce, just kind of like we can like kind of slow down and like really take in all those positive things that happened during this time and say that we can make these changes. And let's not forget, let's not forget, because I feel like once everything can just, the volume can be turned back up and things start to go fast again, in our fast-paced life, I just feel like people are going to maybe forget some of these things. And it's almost like if everybody could if everybody could kind of take a moment and say, okay, what are the top 5 things that you enjoy that changed in your life right now, or that you see changing in the world, and maybe just keep that as like a reminder. You know, maybe it's like spending more time with your family, taking more time to be in nature, disconnecting, supporting your local food systems. You know, these are the things that are on my mind.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think family is one thing that may have stood out to a lot of us. Definitely for me, having the whole family around has just been really incredible, and having the opportunity to reconnect when we are all so busy, and to have conversations like this one, you know, to really start talking about our values and our hopes for the future, because we're at a bit of a, you know, everybody says tipping point, where we're at an interesting time where we really have this incredible opportunity to help, you know, to move forward, you know, in a positive direction, I guess I'll say. So we can all work together to do that. And if our community, anyone who happens to be watching this, wants to further support Coastal Roots, what is the best way to do so?
Yeah, our website, if you go to our website, coastalrootsfarm.org, if you go to our support page, and you'll see all sorts of different information about our impact. And to learn more about our impact, and there's an opportunity there to make a contribution to support. Or you can also, you know, contact me directly, Javier, Javier, at coastalrootsfarm.org, and just reach out. You know, we've got all our contact information out there, and we look forward to having people on the farm soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much on behalf of myself, Very Good Food, and everyone whose lives you positively impact. We're so grateful for you and your team. So
thank you.
Blessings, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Hold on. There we go.